Well, it's a rainy day, which is a perfect setting for this video. Basically, I've been trying to buy, I got money saved up to buy a new truck for the channel. My two options I want are either buy a truck to flip it and make some money, or buy like a second gen Cummins to kind of build up, maybe do a compound turbo setup, something like that. So anyways, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I ended up getting scammed for $1,000. I'll talk about that, and I really hope that, like, I feel bad making this video for my own pride. It's hurting, but hopefully it can help someone out there, you know, maybe see the signs better than I did. I've never been scammed before. I'm usually pretty good with that, but I let my guard down on this one, and yeah, it happened. It sucks. And the other truck I looked at, I got totally catfished. It was nothing like the guy said. So I'll show you that too. This first truck though that I went and looked at, it's a 2015 Duramax, high mileage, 430,000 kilometers, but he was asking he was asking $20,000. This is Canadian dollars, of course. And so I was hoping to get him down to about 17 to purchase this truck. There's some oil in the coolant reservoir, so it might need head gaskets or an oil cooler. But yeah, I'll quickly show you that. All right, we're here. Check out this thing though. It's got a 5.9 Cummins in it apparently. It's on American Forces. They could probably use a polish. But look at this thing. It's like a limo, dually, long box. Like, I kind of want to take this thing home instead. Yeah, this thing's sick. Anyways, this is the truck. So yeah, 430,000 kilometers, so that'd probably equal closer to 300,000 miles. It's losing coolant, but not on the ground. And yeah, this is oily. So could be an oil cooler, could be a head gasket, could be, you know, bad EGR. But yeah, that's, see how this kind of is all black? So we would have to address that and fix that and, you know, try to flip it and make some money. Just gonna scan it and see. Looks like there's some ABS codes, the ABS light's on. This is actually an Alberta truck, so to safety in Saskatchewan it would, or to plate in Saskatchewan, it would need a safety as well. So some of this stuff would have to be fixed. Gonna check the balance rates. So you want the balancing rates to be as close to zero as possible. So we got 0.4, 0.1, negative 0.2, 0.2, 0, 0, negative 0.7, and 0.3. So those are really good balancing rates. That's telling me that the fuel injectors should be fine on this truck. Like, they're not giving any signs that they're bad. So if that'd just be one less thing I'd have to worry about, you know. So I also was able to get the engine hours out, and it's 14,000 engine hours, so that's a bit on the high side. Come over here, we can check the blow by. So it's kind of misting a little bit of steam out there, but it's not like it's popping off or anything, so blow by is pretty good. This is the only bad thing, oil in this coolant reservoir. So could be an oil cooler, could be head gasket, could be EGR, you never know. Seems to drive pretty good though. Pulls a little bit to the right, but sometimes you set it up that way. I don't know, it's not terrible. I can tell by driving this thing that whatever tune they used to put on it when they did the DPF delete, I think they just put a stock tune on it, because this thing's pretty slow. Like, I know a lot of the times I put tunes on trucks and they're way more peppy than this, so that's a good sign, because especially with a work truck, you don't want the employees, or maybe this was a foreman or who knows, but you don't want somebody driving around with a 100 horsepower tune on a work truck that they don't own and they don't really care about, right? So but yeah, like I said, I think this just has a stock delete tune, so that's good news. Well, I saw everything I needed to see, so I'm gonna go crunch some numbers and see, you know, what offer I would give this guy. And yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. So after I looked at that Duramax, I ended up thinking about it, and I offered the guy $17,000. He said no, he wanted $18,500. I said I wasn't going that high. So I started looking more and more into it, and the more I looked into it, you know, to see if I could maybe move up on my price, the more I thought, you know what, this truck at the end of the day, even if it's running mint, you know, it's still got 430,000 kilometers on it. You know, it's probably not worth much more than $25,000. So I'd be taking a risk, and if I have two head gaskets, that's a huge job. So he eventually was like, okay, I'll do 17, but this is a few days later, and I was like, you know what, sorry, I don't want the truck anymore. I just thought about it, it's too high kilometers. And that truck was in Raymore, Saskatchewan, so that was about a 2-hour drive one way. So yeah, I never ended up buying that one. It would have been a good truck, you know, if the kilometers were more in like the 200, you know, 250,000 kilometer range, then I probably would have done it, but 400,000, that's just too high for me. So I went and looked at that Duramax on Monday. Obviously I didn't buy it, but I kept checking Kijiji, which is like Craigslist in Canada. I don't have Facebook, so I don't use Marketplace, I just use Kijiji. So I checked Kijiji multiple times a day, and on Wednesday night around 10 p.m. I found this ad, and I'll kind of post some pictures I have, some screenshots I have of it up while I'm talking about this truck. So anyways, it looked like it was a pretty good deal. I wouldn't quite say too good to be true, but it was a good deal. Guy basically said, look, I got too many trucks, wife wants one gone, come get this one, $9,000 firm. And you know, it had 300,000 kilometers. He said it had a little tiny bit of rust, but it wasn't bad. Said it ran and drove good. You know, he said no blow by, had a lift. Like the ad looked totally legit to me. So anyways, I messaged this guy at 10 p.m. He doesn't reply. Try calling him, get nothing. And finally he messaged me back the next day, so Thursday at like 11 a.m. And he said, hey, sorry, I work the oil field. I've been busy at work. Haven't been able to reply to any of these people that are asking me about my truck. He's like, there's a guy from Lethbridge, Alberta, and sorry, this truck is in Edmonton, Alberta, apparently. He said there's a guy from Lethbridge, Alberta that offered to send him $1,200 to hold the truck for him, but since you messaged me first last night, I'll give you first dibs on it. So I said, well, yeah, I want it. Like, I want to talk to you a little bit about it first. So I tried calling him, and he said he couldn't talk on the phone because he's at work. So right away here, he can't talk on the phone. That's number one red flag. I always talk to someone on the phone before I send them money, except for this one time. So yeah, I couldn't talk on the phone, but he could text me a little bit. So we texted. I was like, how bad's the rust? I need it to pass a safety in Saskatchewan. He's like, oh, there's hardly any. He's like, this is one of the cleaner second gens in Edmonton. He said, just a little bit of surface rust, it's not gonna fail. He said it shifts fine, starts fine, there's no issues with it. He says one of the fog lights is broken, which you can see from the pictures. So, but he's like, yeah, no, it's good. And I'm like, okay, well, how about this? I'll send you, then I asked him for the VIN number, and he said, sorry, I don't have the VIN number on me, and I'm not around the truck. And I was like, well, can you get your wife to send it to me? And he said, no, she's not home. My family's not gonna be home till I get home on Saturday evening, which was a little bit sus to me, you know? So I'm like, well, can you call your insurance provider or look it up online? Like, I can tell you the registration of any vehicle I've ever owned in 10 minutes if I just go online. And he's like, no, he's like, Alberta insurances works different than that. I can't do that. So that was number two red flag. He couldn't provide me with the VIN of the truck. So he's like, I can send you the VIN when I get home on Saturday evening if you want. I'm like, okay. That's two red flags. Whatever. This guy's like, I was like, I'll send you $500 to hold it for me. He's like, well, the other guy said he'd send me $1,200. He's like, I feel like I'm gonna delete the ad, and I feel like you could walk away from $500, but no one's gonna walk away from $1,000. So I was kind of like a little bit like, ooh, $1,000, that's a lot of money for me to trust you with. But like, again, he's like, well, like, I know if you send me $1,000, you're not gonna bail on this deal. So that's what he wanted to do. And so I ended up sending this guy $1,000, and he received it. He removed the ad. You know, we talked a little bit more over text message, and that was that, and that was the end of Thursday. So I was feeling fairly confident, you know, towards the end of Thursday. This guy seemed pretty legit just from his text, and yeah, so let's fast forward to Friday. I text him in the morning, you know, just to I want to touch base with this guy. You know, he has $1,000 of my money. I text him in the morning, he doesn't reply all day long. So I'm getting sketched out, hours go by, and I haven't heard from him. I've sent him like 3 texts, you know, all a couple hours apart. Haven't heard from him. So now I start doing some research here. So I try calling this guy, and I get a voicemail, and this is what the voicemail says. It says, the text mail subscriber you have reached is not available, please leave a message. So I'm like, what the heck is text mail subscriber? So I Google search that, and right away you can see like text mail subscriber scams and like text. Basically what I've came to a conclusion is a text mail subscriber is somebody who is texting you off of a website. Basically they're texting you from an internet, not an actual phone number. So I'm like, okay, that's number 3, huge red flag. How did I not see that from before? How did I miss that? I'm feeling really down on myself here. So then in Canada, I can actually use Yellow Pages website and like reverse look up a phone number. So it won't tell me a person's name or address, but it'll tell me like where the number originates and what cell phone provider they're with. So I do mine and it comes up as Saskatoon number from Canada and SaskTel Mobility, which is what I'm at. Do a couple of my buddies' numbers that live in Alberta, and the same thing happens with them. You know, it comes up as TELUS Mobility or Bell Mobility and where they live, and it looks all good. It says Canadian number. And then I look up this guy's number, and all it says, even though he has an Alberta area code, all it says is this is a US number. We have no information on this number. So I'm like, oh my God, like he definitely screwed me over. So then I'm looking more into the pictures. I have screenshots. There's no license plate on the truck in the screenshot, so I'd say that's probably another red flag, maybe. Although a lot of people will block out their license plate in pictures online too. But that was another red flag. So then he actually had sent me his address. So I go onto Google and I type in his address, which is an Alberta address, Edmonton, Alberta. So I go to the Google Street View and I can actually look at this house, and it's kind of like a small house. Like this guy says he's got multiple trucks, he works in the oil field and stuff. I'm expecting him to, you know, live in a pretty decent house with probably a pretty nice garage if he has multiple trucks. It's got one tiny little single detached garage and the house is small. It's an old area of town. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't look like this guy's house, you know. That's just my opinion. Maybe it is where he lives, I don't know. But yeah, so now I've already contacted my local RCMP detachment and been like, hey, look, I think I got scammed. I'm not 100% sure yet. I just want to get ahead of it. The officer I dealt with was super good. He was like, yeah, no, that's great. Let's get ahead of it. Let's get the information, and then let's just kind of wait and see what happens on Saturday, you know? And so this guy actually ends up messaging me Friday night, and he's like, hey man, sorry, just finished a 16-hour day at work. I got 2 other guys that didn't show up for work, so now I have to stay till Tuesday. And I'm like, man, did you scam me? Like, can you just be honest with me so I can move on with my life? And he's like, no, I didn't scam you. I'm sorry, man. It's my fault that I have to stay late at work. He says, I can send you your money back. That's no problem. And I said, okay, great. I was like, you know what? I still want the truck. If this is all legit, I still want the truck. But I would feel better if you just send me the money back. You know I'm good for it. I already sent it to you once. So as soon as you get home from work, send me a video of the truck so I know you have it. Send me the VIN number, and I'll drive out to Edmonton and come pick it up. Then I don't hear anything from him. And I don't hear anything from him at all. I still haven't heard anything from him. So I've sent him multiple text messages, you know, and I haven't heard anything at all. And it's now Sunday morning, haven't heard nothing from him. So that's something I want you guys all to be careful of when you're buying a vehicle used, because in the real world, you are going to have to send a guy a deposit, especially if he's got a truck that a lot of people want and he's asking a reasonable price for it, which does happen. I know whenever I've sold a vehicle on and someone's like, I will come, I just can't come to this time. I'm like, well, I'll hold it for you, but you got to send me something that makes it worthwhile. I usually ask for 500 bucks, but you know, that's how it works. But next time, you know, what I'd recommend is, one, you always talk to the person. Always talk to the person with their voice, you know, on the phone. 2, make sure you get the VIN number of the truck, you know, or get some kind of proof that he has it. Be like, hey, I want a picture of this, or I want to see it running, you know, which this guy could not provide me, because I'm pretty sure he just pulled these images off of some ad on Craigslist in the States probably. And so get some more confirmation like that, you know. And then if you talk to the guy on the phone too, you know, you're gonna know it's a legit number and that he can actually, you know, talk to you. So that's another thing. Basically, like, there are a bunch of red flags that I look past here, and like I said, this is so embarrassing to me, and I've never actually fallen for a scam, but I think I finally fell for this one. Time will tell, you know. I sent him a message basically saying like, look man, if this is legit, I still want the truck. But just let me know. If this guy's actually busy at work, like, I doubt it though. I used to work on the rigs, and you know, you typically work 12-hour days. Sometimes you're slow at work too. You have time to answer a phone call or reply to a text, you know, at least a text. So that's my story about getting scammed out of $1,000. I hope that it helps you guys out. But one last part of this video, I want to show you a truck that totally catfished me. So because I was like, I'm getting scammed, I don't want to go, like, I'm going down swinging with this. Like, I want a new truck this weekend. There's another second gen Cummins on Kijiji, and I'll put the link up here and we can talk about it, or I can just screen record and show you. But basically I call this guy and right away he answers. This guy's legit. He said it was his dad's truck, and his dad passed away, and he has the truck. And I was like, what's the reason for selling? And he's like, well, he left me the truck, and I already have a truck. I don't need it. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. He said his dad's the original owner, one owner truck. I'm like, wow, these are hard to come by. And in the pictures, the truck looks just immaculate. And he said in 2017 it was repainted. His dad had it completely redone and repainted. So I'm like, wow, I can fix mechanical stuff, but I can't do body work. So this is perfect for me. If I can find a one owner truck that's basically stock, which this truck was, and a new paint job, I'm laughing. Then I can build it to the moon, right? That would be so awesome. So this truck was in Alliance, Alberta, which was about a 4-hour drive. So me and my girlfriend, my awesome girlfriends, came all the way with me to hopefully drive one of the trucks back. We get to Alliance, and I see the truck, and it looks pretty good. As soon as I get out of my truck and I start walking up to it, I see, first thing I noticed is the grill is cracked. I'm like, oh, great. Second thing I noticed right after that, the dash is all cracked up, which in the pictures, the dash looks fine. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm already kind of disappointed. Then I go up and I actually look at this paint job, and I can just like run my hands like on here. I can like run my hands along the rocker, and I can just feel all the waves and stuff and all the dents. There's dents all over the truck, like not huge ones, but like little dents you can see in the light. So no body work was done on this truck before they painted it. And if you actually look at the paint, there's so many, I don't know the correct term for it, but like they put too much paint on it and it started running. You can see like drips and stuff. So run lines or paint run lines, like they sprayed way too much on it. The paint job was not a good paint job. This guy said it had a new paint job, and I actually looked, and he's removed that from the ad. The ad no longer says new paint job, because I told him, I was like, look, dude, you said this thing's got a new paint job. Like, this is not a new paint job. This just looks like they just took it in and just whatever the truck was like, and they just blasted it over with paint. Like, yeah, it's shiny, but they did not. This I do not consider a new paint job. What else is wrong with that truck? The ABS light was on. I tried connecting to the ECM with my snap-on scanner, couldn't connect to the ECM, so there was obviously some kind of data link issue or a broken wire or a fuse or something for the ECM, so I couldn't even connect to the truck. It didn't have any blow-by, which was good, and it ran fine. I never even bothered driving it though, because I already knew I didn't want it by this point. I looked underneath. It had a bunch of oil leaks, you know, on the front and the back. It looked like rear main seal might be going, and the front cover looked like it was going too. What else? Oh, the rear tires were completely bald. They would not pass a safety, so it would need new tires. Just stuff like that. This guy basically said this truck was just mint, right? When I talked to him, and it looked really good in the pictures, and I got there, and it was just nothing like I expected. So I've had a bad weekend, a bad week of looking for vehicles. I really hope my luck turns around and I can find something out there. I'm already down $1,000. There's a slight chance that I'll be able to get my money back if this guy who took it is a real person in Canada. But if he lives anywhere other than Canada, like the police, they can't do anything about it. So I basically reported it just so that they have a record of this, so that hopefully maybe they can catch it, you know, on the next time. Or like, I don't really expect to get my $1,000 back. Yeah, kind of a bummer of a video. The good news is that I keep saying this, but I swear to you, this week, my new 90 horse injectors will be in for this 5.9. So we will be able to finally get a cool video, put some injectors in, doing a how-to video on that, and then we'll do a vlog video too afterwards with the new injectors. We'll go see what this truck's doing for power and how fast it is, and I'll tell you my honest opinion of the difference it made. But yeah, like I said, bummer video, but I hope at least someone can learn from my mistake. And I mean, this was an expensive lesson for me. It cost me $1,000 basically to take a class on what to look for when you're buying a used vehicle in regards to sending a guy money to hold it. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully we'll see you on the next video.